amazed to hear it last night, and I think it's pretty incredible given that this year we've seen the collapse of Afghanistan, which was Tony Blair's first major war in the war on terror. We have 8 million people on the edge of starvation in Afghanistan now. We have, as you quite rightly described, Iraq in a terrible state now, nearly 20 years after the invasion. And I think it's a kick in the teeth for the people of Iraq and Afghanistan, and a kick in the teeth for all the people who protested against the war in Iraq and who've been proved right. And Tony Blair has been proved completely wrong over this question. So I think it's a very, very bad start to the new year from every point of view.
Can you accept the convention element of it? I mean, I'll be honest, I'm a Republican, so the idea of the Queen handing out gongs full stop I find bizarre and weird. But I do accept that this is how it works. I live in a country which has this convention, and ex-Prime Ministers get gongs. That's it. Beginning, middle, end of the story.
I agree very much with your point you made earlier, which is that you could look at any Prime Minister and say there's things that you don't like about them and things why they shouldn't get gongs. And I agree with your general sentiment about these gongs. I think there's something really wrong with a society which hands out these kind of awards to essentially to the rich and powerful and to a very small group of people. They throw in the odd person who actually does a useful job in society, but for the most part, that's who they are. And I think we should be moving away from these kind of things generally. It is the convention, so in that sense, of course, people will say he's ex-Prime Minister, why shouldn't he get it? But it's 14 years on since he stopped being Prime Minister, so I don't really see the justification for it at any time. And it seems to me this is just him trying yet again to rehabilitate himself.
Would you accept, and I'm not suggesting this is the case, I'm just throwing it out there, would you accept that the 14-year wait is potentially Her Majesty / the establishment's way of a gentle rap across Blair's historic knuckles, just to say, yes, you're going to get your gong, but we're going to make you wait for it because a lot of people aren't going to be very happy. Do you think that was the case?
I doubt it.
So do I.
It's more that I suspect it's more. He didn't want a place in the House of Lords for I don't know what reason. Perhaps it would have kind of tied him too much to Parliament rather than making the huge amounts of money that he's made since then.
He's also, to be fair to him, there is an entrenched view out there of anti-Blair feeling, which I understand. I do understand. But I sometimes wonder if it makes us blind to some of the good things that he did. And I'm not saying that, because I don't think it is a case of weighing up the good and the bad and then deciding whether somebody deserves a gong because it's convention here. It's just that dealing with people that have such strong feelings like yourself, Lindsey, over the war, I share those feelings. But I feel that to be fair to the man, to be fair to the Prime Minister, as I said, all Prime Ministers end up with blood on their hands to some degree. It's inevitable. That's what happens when you lead the country. And maybe we have to be fairer to Tony Blair.
Well, I think we should be fairer to the people who've been the victims of the war. And I still work with people who lost sons in Iraq and Afghanistan. I still work with veterans who were in Afghanistan, and I still work with Iraqis and Afghans who've got direct experience of not just war itself, but the consequences of war, the displacement, the refugees, all the problems that people have. So I don't really feel like being fair to him on this question, and I feel very strongly this was the biggest demonstration we've ever had in this country was over the Iraq war. He refused to listen. He refused to stop. And the point is, John Rentoul made the point that America would have gone to war anyway. I'm not absolutely convinced of that if they couldn't have got Britain and other countries involved. But what is clear is Britain didn't need to go to that war. In fact, Donald Rumsfeld phoned and said, you don't have to go to war. Blair insisted on doing that, and that should be his record for the rest of his life.